Welcome to It's True, Tales of the Paranormal, exploring the inexplicable. Most encounters with the odd are quite explainable. An overwhelming number, 80 to 90% in fact, will find very logical explanation. Our focus is on that 10 to 20% that do not. It's time to give a voice to real encounters and share genuine experiences of the paranormal. And now, it's true.
Thank you, Adam, and welcome to It's True, Tales of the Paranormal. You know, there are several types of hauntings that people experience. Residual hauntings, there's intelligent activity, poltergeists, even dark spirits or the demonic. Today's guest can certainly speak to at least one of those, a residual haunting. Now, imagine being a kid, sharing your room with your sis, when, in the middle of the night, two guys walk into your room, wearing period clothing, entering through one wall, and exiting through another, multiple times. Trapped energy that, for whatever reason, interlaces that realm with our own. Fascinating stuff, and we're going to explore it today when we return with Laura, our guest. All right, welcome back to It's True, Tales of the Paranormal, and now joined by a very special guest. Laura, you've got some interesting tales to weave for us today from a home that has a rich history. Tell us about the subdivision of the home on Abbey Road.
So I was lucky enough to grow up on Abbey Road. Now, not the Abbey Road of the Beatles, but I claim it anyway. So this house that I grew up in, spent a large part of my life in, was part of the very first planned development in Knoxville, Tennessee. And this was, and I was trying to think when that occurred, and I really just don't recall, so I hesitate to say. But we moved there in 1969.
Okay.
And it was not, a brand new house, obviously, so it had been there for a while when we moved in.
Okay.
And I don't know really anything about the people who lived there before us. I was a baby, basically, when we moved there, so.
All right.
Dating
now,
myself a little bit.
Right, and you shared your room with your sister.
Yes,
right?
I did. We shared our bedroom,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, and how was she an older sister, younger sister? What was that
Older
connection?
by about almost 2 years. So we're
Okay.
really close in age, really close.
Okay, yeah, all right. Now I spent a lot of time there myself. Every
Yes,
week
you have.
we would hang out there, and I remember we never had a discussion about any type of paranormal stuff going on at that point. I mean that it wasn't anything we talked about. And I remember one time, Laura, you asked me, or your mom asked me something to get something from the basement, and which I did.
Sorry.
And I've never been creeped out by basements or anything like that. But that was a weird energy down there.
Yes, I will agree with that, right? I have been scared of that basement my entire life. And so let me just tell you, it's a normal basement. I mean,
It
it's
is.
big. It's a big basement,
Yeah.
but it was always creepy to me.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, and I don't freak out. I don't creep out easily at all. But being down there, it's just to retrieve something. And I don't even remember what it was, but I just went down there quickly to retrieve something. There was an
vibe.
energy, an atmosphere that
There
was
is.
just
No, I'm so with you on that.
unsettling.
Oh my gosh. It's my intention today to share with you about one particular incident.
Yes, right, yeah,
That I've shared
and
with
that
you
has nothing to
before.
do with the basement, really. But
No, but
yeah.
I can just tell you that is not the only incident I experienced in that house by a long shot.
Okay. Well, let's get into the one that you first shared with me years and years ago. And what I found so fascinating about it was the instant credibility it brought to the table, because you were telling me in the context of you had shared this story with no one. And then
not a single solitary soul in my entire life.
And then you finally told your dad at some point.
I did eventually tell my dad.
And he's like, I know, honey, I know. You told me.
Let me tell this part.
Yeah,
let me tell this part.
Yeah, go get into it.
So it's so strange. So as an adult, I was talking to my dad on the phone, and I was at that house at the time, okay? And I was talking to Dad, and I said, you know, I've never really shared this, but I just want to tell you what happened. This was the strangest thing as a kid. And I started to tell him about this experience that I had as like a 6-year-old, maybe, something like that. And, you know, it was like, it just wasn't a dream, Dad. You know, it was like, it seemed so real. It just wasn't a dream. And he said, I know, honey. What did he say? Now I can't remember how it went. Oh, he said, no, I know what he said. He said, no, Laura, that's what your sister dreamed. She told me about that already. She told me her dream, and you've just heard it from her. And I was like, oh, no, Dad. No. Cindy and I have never, ever spoken about anything like this. And I'm like, I got to call her right now. And not only did I have to call her, I had to leave the house. I had to get outside of the house. I could not stay in that house at that moment. It was just like I was too creeped out. So I called my sister. Luckily, I was able to get her on the phone right away.
Yeah.
I'm like, Cindy, okay. So I got to ask you some strange questions. You know, I was just on the phone with Dad. And he said that you told him about some dream or experience you had about some workmen and a glass. And she went, what? How do you know about that? What? I said, well, Dad told me that you told him. I said, but Cindy, that was my experience. And she freaked out. And she was like, oh, no. And that wasn't a dream, Laura. She said, that is what I saw. Now, and then we both got very suspicious of one another. Like, yeah, maybe I don't know what's going on here, right? So we started comparing memories, like fact by fact. Like, oh, yeah? How many people? Oh, yeah, two workmen? Yeah, okay. What were they wearing? Right? Same thing.
Wow.
Flannel shirt, coveralls, hat.
Wow.
We started to really freak out, right? And then what? Okay. How did you see them? Right?
Yeah.
We both described, like step by step, the same thing. Where they came in, so we shared this bedroom.
Right. Yep. Tell us the experience.
And there were two windows. There was a set of windows to the outside, you know, at the back of the room. Mm-hmm. And so my twin bed was on one side and her twin bed was on the other. So we both saw these two workmen, and they were obviously workmen because they were carrying a very large pane of glass through the room and out the door of our room.
Yeah.
I don't even know when I was able to go back inside the house, right? I was just like, because as I mentioned, by the way, that was not my only weirdo experience there, right? Yeah. So it was like,
you were 6. She would have been what, 8, 9, 10 at that point, having the same experience. When you had that experience, you were 6, and she was 8, 9. Okay.
We were between 7 and 9, 6 and 8, maybe. Okay. I'm not real clear about how old I was exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, we were under 10. I'm sure. I know we were both under 10.
Experiencing the same thing.
I mean, colors. Like what color?
Yeah.
Were the coveralls?
Yeah.
We're very detail oriented people, both of us. You know.
Yeah.
And also big skeptics, question everything. We're always taught to, trust but verify. That's been our like life philosophy.
Yeah,
so it's
absolutely.
like, yeah, you're my sister, but we'll make you prove it. And she felt the same way, so there was no offense, right? It was just like,
right, absolutely. That's just standard operating procedure. Yeah. So, but you both had essentially the same experience of the two workers carrying a large pane of glass,
and a large pane of glass, like might go into a big picture window where they're one in the house.
Which,
there is.
Yeah, as part of an addition.
And
right?
And what I have to say is that to your audience and people listening, so this is what is really fascinating to me today. So as Scott and I were kind of just, right before the show or whatever, talking a little bit, he was asking about the history of the house, what I know about it. And I was like, well, not much really. It's part of a planned neighborhood. What's funny, though, is that none of the houses in this, quote, planned development look alike. It's obviously an old development. So there were different architects. It was, I don't know how it became a, quote, planned, but it's also part of a dogwood trail. I mean, it's a really cool old neighborhood. Well, anyway, so I didn't know much about the house. What I did know, though, as I was talking to Scott and realized for the first time in my life, because I never connected these dots, that where Scott and I always hung out was in a little den that we called the TV room, because that's where we sat and watched television and kind of hung out.
Yeah, that's where we watched our movies.
That's where we watched our movies. And there is still a very large single-paned glass picture window there, right?
Yeah.
And what's really fascinating is the only bit of history I actually know about that house really is that was an add-on to the original structure. That place, that room with that big old pane of glass,
right,
was an add-on. And now it like all fits together. Like these guys were carrying that pane of glass to build on to the.
I wonder if you ever tried to step through the pane of glass to see if it led to Narnia or something. I mean,
I hid right under the covers and never spoke of it. That was like, I was not ready for Narnia.
Yeah,
now my sister, she's into that.
Yeah, that is what you did. I mean, you never spoke about it to anybody.
No.
And
it was too weird because it wasn't a dream. I mean, I knew I was wide freaking awake. Right? Yeah. And these men were walking through my bedroom and they didn't seem to have noticed me, which I was thankful for.
Yeah.
And I did not want to be noticed.
Yeah.
And, so, yeah. I will tell you this, too. So, my sister and I share this room really pretty much our whole lives until she went to college, right?
Right.
And I mentioned there were other incidents. So there have been times when she or I have done this and called out across the bedroom, Cindy, Laura, I'm scared. Can I come over there? And we would make a mad dash for the other one's bed, right? To the safety of our sister's arms. Now, usually only one of us was scared by a dream or something. But I mean, but occasionally it was like, can I come? Can you? You want to come over? Yes, come, run.
Well, and I'm sure you both 100% understood the fear element coming from the other side of the room because you've had these experiences that freaked you out.
Absolutely.
So even if you didn't talk about them for whatever reason, you knew you had them and they were inside them.
Right. We didn't ever talk about it. We just always said, I'm scared. I've had a bad dream or something like that. Can I come over?
Yeah.
And in light of us both independently knowing the creepy stuff that we'd seen, right? But not sharing it. Yeah. So that would have just it would have, I think it would have creeped us out so much as kids to realize we had both seen it.
Yeah.
Which is why we never spoke of it because you think about it, I'm only thinking about it now, but independently, I knew it wasn't a dream. She also knew that.
Yeah.
I really didn't need that verified when I was that age.
Right.
That would have just I probably wouldn't have been able to, I wouldn't have been able to live there. I wouldn't have been able to compartmentalize and put it over there, and pretend it never happened.
What later, Laura, when you talked to your dad about this, did he share any experiences that he might have had? Did you had a brother, Michael? Did he experience anything at the home?
So that's interesting. I do have a younger brother, Michael, and so it's funny. We really never talked about it. Now I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
But he had his own room because, of course, he was the boy, and so the girls got put together. So he had his own bedroom.
Yeah.
And it was at the back of the house. Well, you know where. I mean, no, these folks don't know where it is. There's a long hallway that went from my parents' bedroom. Our bedroom was next. My sister and I, and then my brother's bedroom was at the very end of the hallway, past the creepy basement doorway, and past the bathroom and some other things, right? So he was kind of isolated, in that regard, and he's always been not isolated in a bad way. I just mean that, like,
right.
We didn't go hang out back there, and he didn't come hang out in our room.
Right,
he was younger, and he was a boy, and well, anyway.
Yeah.
Nothing against boys, but
No, totally understandable. Yeah.
We sure weren't going to run down the hallway to his room for help.
No,
there was no way that was happening, right?
You did good to make it across the room to the safety of your sister's bed there. So that's good. But your dad never experienced anything. Sitting, your mom never talked about any experiences.
Not that they ever mentioned. And my mom has passed, and I hate that I can't ask her.
Yeah. Now I know you've mentioned other experiences. Do you mind sharing those?
Sure. Oh my gosh.
Let's
Where
have
to
it.
start?
Because I may not be aware of these.
No, I don't think you or anyone else is aware of these. This will probably be the first time I have spoken of these, out loud.
Okay.
So, my goodness. So there was a recurring visitor that I never had the guts to speak about because I was absolutely terrified.
Okay.
In fact, if I were in that house today, right now, and started speaking about this, I would probably have to leave.
Wow.
Again, this was one of those things, it just didn't feel like a dream. It also did not feel like the workman.
Okay.
So, like, the workman felt like a vision, maybe of the past. It did feel like a vision. I mean, it was real. I was awake. But, like, I didn't feel like they couldn't interact with me.
Right. This was. It sounds like the workman was what's categorized as a residual haunting, just basically an energy imprint that you can watch as you're watching a loop of film or something.
That makes sense.
They can't interact with you. You can't interact with them, but you can observe.
Right.
So, but this next
was
encounter,
different. This encounter was different, and I had multiple encounters. So, and it wasn't just a kid's imagination. I can say that now. I just wasn't that imaginative, I don't think. But anyway, so there was this, I'll just call it an entity because I don't know another name for it.
Okay.
And it was haunting, very tall, in the shape of a human being shape, and all black. All in black, couldn't see the face. I mean, almost like a Grim Reaper, I swear.
Okay.
And so one time, I saw this entity. I don't know why. Oh, this is funny. See, I never put this together either. After this happened, I always required that our bedroom door be shut and clipped all the way, so that it couldn't fall open.
Right. Yeah.
This is an old house, guys, so you had to push the door to make sure it would kind of
click
close.
and
yeah. So I'd always say, click it to my sister. She's like, oh my God, okay. Because she didn't know, right, why I wanted to click. But I knew why. Because I don't want to see that thing again. Okay. What I saw, and I saw more than once, was this entity. And the first time I saw it, it came from the hall, from my parents' side of the hall, right? So down the hallway towards my bedroom. Now, how I know that? I only know that because it peered into our bedroom from that side.
Okay.
So I assume that's where it came from.
Okay.
But I mean, it peered into our bedroom.
Did you meet eyes with this?
More terrified in my life. I was young, probably 8, 9.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. Well, let me think about it. So it would have been around 4th grade. I can place it. So that would have been like 10 or 11.
9, 10, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, and here's what was so frightening to me. Well, I mean, it was frightening just in general. That was bad enough. But then it didn't come in, and for which I was very thankful. But it did continue back towards my brother's room. And I was so scared, Scott. I was so scared for him. He was back there by himself, right? But I did not have the courage to get up. Like I just didn't even know what was happening. And this thing was not by itself, by the way. There were several other little smaller type. I mean, they were human size, man size, but not as big as the main one. Anyway, walking back to my room, I was so scared that as soon as daylight came, I ran and woke my brother up.
Wow.
Make sure he was okay.
And
he just thought I was like a weird, he's like, Laura, I don't want to get up yet.
So chances are he didn't experience anything. They didn't reach his room or what have you.
They just apparently were, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But that was not the only time I saw that thing.
Okay. How many times did you see this?
Huh?
How many times did you see this?
I'd say 3 or 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And another
one, though, that really sticks out is when my best girlfriend, and this is why I can place it time-wise, because this was my best girlfriend in elementary school.
Okay.
She was spending the night with me. And we had a living room, which we never spend any time in, right? I mean, except for Christmas caroling. But anyway.
It was a formal living room.
Living room. Huh?
It was a formal living room. It was just
a formal living room, right? Yeah. Not a den, not a place you hung out, right?
Right. Yeah.
But on special occasions, and so when my little girlfriend would come spend the night, my parents would let us sleep out there because the couch was a big sleeper sofa. I mean, it was huge, it was massive. We loved it. They'd roll it out for us anyway. Yeah. So we had a great time, and we spent the night there. I can't even tell you how many times, right? Well, anyway, one night we were both sleeping there, and she's fast asleep. Thank God, right? But I'm awakened, and I look, because our house, you could see from the front door to the kitchen. You remember there were those archways, and doors. So I wouldn't call it an open type thing like we have in today's world, but you could see the whole way. So I just knew I was awakened, and I looked up, and I saw that thing going back towards the hallway, and it turned and looked at me, and I froze. I just stopped breathing. I just was play dead, and it went on down the hallway.
Could you have interacted with this entity, Laura? It sounds like, whereas one is a residual, but it sounds like
not residual. No, this was an active thing happening at that moment. That's the way I perceived it. Now, it may not have been, Do
you remember any, did you experience chills in the air? Was it a cold feel?
In the basement?
Cold present? Yeah, well, in the basement, but when you saw this thing, did you notice temperature drops? Did you notice?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I was so just paralyzed is the word.
Fear,
I was paralyzed by fear.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk. I have no idea if the temperature in the room changed or anything.
Yeah,
like
okay. All right.
And I wasn't that close. Well, the only time I was that close was when it peered into the bedroom. But and I was terrified for my sister because my sister's bed was closest to the door.
Yeah.
Mine was on the way other side.
Okay.
I've never spoken to her about this.
Wow.
Now
I wonder if she experienced that.
I know, right?
Yeah. That's.
And you know why I haven't spoken to her, right? Because I don't want to hear her answer, right? I don't want to hear that. Are you really?
You saw that too?
Oh my!
You saw that too? Yeah. Oh my! Yeah. Well, that one's a little more troubling than the workers walking through.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the workers. That's a little more personal because they're in your space, but this seemed like
threatening. Really, I wasn't paralyzed by fear. It was just sort of okay, that's really weird.
Yeah,
right?
It's like, excuse me, what are you doing? Yeah, but
and then years later to find out my sister saw it too, it was like,
yeah,
okay, that's even more weird.
Yeah. exactly.
My dad thought it was just like, I mean, he totally, believed us. He was like, oh my gosh. Because especially
Yeah.
after we told him about our verifications, we were like,
Right.
what about, yeah.
Well, the other entity seemed to be far more of a dark entity.
Much more menacing. Much more menacing. And I think I must have developed a belief that like it came from the basement. Now that's probably just my imagination, right? Because that basement was creepy as hell.
Yeah, and it was. It was. If it creeped me out, and I don't creep out easily, it was creepy as hell. I think that's
It
a
was
good.
creepy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you said he had minions.
And there have been times. Oh, here's another thing.
Yeah.
You are just bringing up all kinds of crap for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what we do.
I don't even remember why this happened, or what was the trigger for it. But what I do remember is that I was, let's see, so I probably would, this would have been again around probably 4th or 5th grade, I would guess. I was in elementary school for sure. Now, I was a very responsible kid. You have to realize this.
Sure.
I mean, you probably do realize that. But anyway.
Yeah, I certainly do.
I did well for myself. I took care of myself. I didn't do stupid things. I followed the rules. So my parents would not mind, like, going down the street to hang out with some of their friends and leave me at home.
Right.
When I was 11 or 12. 11 anyway. Yeah,
Right,
because by that time I'd already gone to Norway by myself. So, yeah, I was very independent.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so around 10 or 11, I just remember getting so terrified of being inside that house that I couldn't stay there. And I went out on the front porch screaming for my neighbor who's the neighborhood kid, a neighbor kid, who's a boy, to come over. Hey, come over here. Are you home? Kind of thing. Now, know that those houses are not that close together.
Right. They weren't then. Did you experience something that prompted that, or did you just get thinking about?
Precipitated that. But I wouldn't normally just get scared.
Yeah.
I wouldn't normally just run out of the house without some strange feeling, or I think if I'd seen something, I would remember it. So I think it must have been more of a feeling maybe that I thought was going to precipitate seeing something.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. And so
Yeah.
I just left, and I went, I sat out on that porch until my parents came home
Wow.
from playing cards down the road. I was too afraid to walk down the road.
Yeah.
I was just terrified again.
Yeah. Bless your heart.
Yes, this is like PTSD recovery or something.
Well, yeah, it is.
I had, right?
I know, right? You might hit me over the head next time I see you for bringing up all this stuff. But
I might.
well,
You're lucky my arms don't work that well.
that's why I suggested that. So
I thought it.
I know it won't happen. You're too good. But
my skill sets.
yeah, well, you're awesome.
Hitting people over the head is not one of them. Especially someone as tall as you, and I'm so tiny. I'd never. Anyway.
Oh, well, Laura, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sharing your experiences. I want you to go to Cindy. I want you to go to Michael and see if they experienced anything similar. I mean, you're talking about the construction stuff we know about, but that dark entity, that was unsettling. So
it was very unsettling, and I like to think, at least this is what I told myself for a long time.
Yeah.
That it was just some childhood fear that my brain was creating, right? That it was like the witch under the bed, or the monster under the bed, right?
Right.
I never really quite believed that, but that's what I have told myself now for a lot of years, and said that that's at least a possibility, and it is a possibility.
Yeah,
it is a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I
could have taken that whole workman thing to a new level. In my own little scared brain.
Absolutely. Well,
now, Cindy says, and I don't think it would be Michael to see it for some reason. Like, I don't think he would have. I don't know. I'd be surprised. But now Cindy, she's open to. She will tell me in no uncertain terms if she experienced that.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep me posted. We may have you back on with a whole new set of stories to tell. Maybe bring Cindy with you. So.
Okay. I just want to say thank you to you for taking this new direction in your life You know, we've known each other a long time.
Yeah.
You're a marketing genius, and
Oh,
I
my.
love that you are, you know, pretty much kind of retired. I hope it's okay to say kind of retired from that. But anyway,
Yeah. At least semi. Still doing some
anyway.
stuff, but
And,
semi-retired.
you know, and that you're taking on this totally new direction and exploration. I think it's really cool.
Well, thank you
And
very
thank you
much.
for remembering that I had
Oh.
that weird experience, and then bringing it up.
No,
Along with all the other stuff.
when I thought of doing this, this podcast, this YouTube channel, your story was one of the first ones that came to my mind, just because. I mean, the show is called "It's True Tales of the Paranormal," and yours is instantly verified.
Yeah.
You know, the way it all surfaced. So it
Right.
was something that certainly a residual haunting. I think it falls into that category. The darker entity that is another ballgame altogether. But,
Well, you know what? We don't own that house anymore. And I don't have to deal with it.
you're good.
I should go ask the new people who live there, like, oh, by the way, you do know about, right? They mentioned that when you bought it. Oh no?
Laura, I had someone on, and they told me that they had people so excited about buying their home, and they had these encounters there, and it wasn't unsettling or anything, but they were so excited about buying the home, and they moved 4 weeks after they bought it, and they're just wondering if, wow, maybe they didn't have very positive experiences there on their own right, but they don't know that. But
That's interesting.
yeah, it is. But
You know,
well,
I
thanks
guess
for
if I-
coming on.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but thanks for coming on, and we're going to keep tabs on you because you've got more, I think, up your sleeve.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
It's been a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very
All
much,
right.
and we'll be back.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to It's True Tales of the Paranormal. Subscribe today to receive updates on new episodes and Tales of the Paranormal.